What began as murmurs of discontent in the bustling markets has erupted into a nationwide movement, shaking the very foundations of the Islamic Republic. This isn't just another series of protests. It's a profound shift in the collective consciousness of a nation, a story of resilience, and a fight for a different future. Today, we're going deep into the heart of Tehran's turmoil, exploring the forces that are fueling this unprecedented wave of demonstrations, and asking the critical question, could this be the moment that reshapes Iran forever? The current wave of protests didn't appear out of nowhere. It's the culmination of years of simmering anger, and a key driver is a dramatic increase in social and political awareness. The seeds were sown in earlier movements, like the 2009 Green Movement and the widespread protests of 2019 and 2022. Each wave, though suppressed, left behind a more informed and politically engaged populace. Today, social media acts as a powerful catalyst, bypassing state-controlled media to spread information and images of defiance in real time. Young Iranians, in particular, are more connected to the global community than ever before. They see the freedoms and opportunities available elsewhere and are increasingly unwilling to accept the social restrictions imposed on them. This isn't just about headscarves or political prisoners anymore. It's a fundamental demand for personal liberty, social justice, and the right to choose their own destiny. The government's attempts to control the narrative are failing, as every act of suppression is documented and shared, further fueling public outrage and strengthening the resolve of the protesters. This growing awareness has created a generation that is not just angry, but also organized and strategic in its defiance. Hand in hand with this social awakening is an economic crisis that has pushed millions to the breaking point. For the average Iranian family, life in 2026 is a daily struggle for survival. Decades of international sanctions, coupled with systemic mismanagement and corruption, have crippled the economy. The currency, the rial, has seen its value plummet, wiping out savings and making basic necessities unaffordable. Inflation is rampant, with the price of bread, meat, and medicines skyrocketing. Official unemployment figures are high, but the reality on the ground is even worse, especially for the youth, many of whom are highly educated but see no future for themselves in their own country. The government's promises of economic relief have rung hollow time and again. The stark contrast between the lavish lifestyles of the ruling elite and the destitution of ordinary people has created a chasm of resentment. When people can no longer afford to feed their families, their patience runs out. The economic grievances have merged with political demands, transforming protests over bread prices into calls for the downfall of the entire system. The markets, once the lifeblood of the economy, have become hotbeds of dissent, with merchants and bazaar-goers joining students and activists in the streets. This unity of economic and social discontent has created a far more powerful and sustained challenge to the regime than it has ever faced before. However, despite the unprecedented scale and intensity of these protests, they face a critical challenge: the absence of a clear and unifying leadership. The movement is largely decentralized, a grassroots phenomenon powered by local networks and spontaneous acts of defiance. This has been a strength in some ways, making it difficult for the government to decapitate the movement by arresting a few key figures. But it's also a significant weakness. Without a recognized leader or a coalition of leaders to articulate a clear set of goals and a post-regime vision, the movement risks fracturing and losing momentum. Who will negotiate with the security forces? Who can represent the protesters on the international stage? Who can offer a credible alternative to the current system that would reassure the millions of Iranians who fear the chaos that could follow a collapse of the state? Historical examples, from the Polish solidarity movement led by Lech Wałęsa to South Africa's anti-apartheid struggle under Nelson Mandela, show the crucial role that unifying figures play in channeling popular anger into successful political change. In Iran, potential leaders are either in prison, in exile, or have been systematically marginalized. This leadership void is the single biggest obstacle standing between the protesters' incredible courage and their ultimate goal of a free and democratic Iran. The spirit of the people is strong, but spirit alone may not be enough to topple a deeply entrenched regime without a clear path forward. Let's take a closer look at the demographics of the people on the streets. What's striking about the 2026 protests is the sheer diversity of the participants. This is no longer a movement confined to university students in North Tehran. We're seeing factory workers from industrial cities, farmers from rural provinces, and even merchants from the traditionally conservative bazaars. But at the forefront of this movement are two groups, women and Gen Z. Iranian women have been at the heart of the resistance for decades, but now they are leading the charge with unparalleled bravery. The slogan "Woman, Life, Freedom," which first echoed in 2022, has become the definitive anthem of this revolution. They are challenging not just the mandatory hijab, but the entire patriarchal structure of the state. Alongside them is Iran's Gen Z, a generation born in the 2000s with little memory of the 1979 revolution or the Iran-Iraq War. Their worldview has been shaped by the internet, not state ideology. They are tech-savvy, globally connected, and fearless. They use encrypted messaging apps to organize, share videos of protests to break the government's information blackout, and create viral content that has captured the world's attention. Their courage is breathtaking. They face down armed security forces, knowing they risk arrest, injury, or worse. This generational and gender dynamic is what makes the current uprising so different. It is a fundamental rejection of the old guard by a new generation that simply refuses to be silenced, creating a powerful and resilient force for change. So what does the future hold? The situation in Iran is hanging on a knife's edge. The regime is facing a crisis of legitimacy unlike any it has seen before. Its traditional pillars of support are eroding. The economy is in freefall, and its ability to provide for the population has all but vanished. Socially, it has lost the hearts and minds of the youth and a significant portion of the wider population. However, we cannot underestimate its capacity for survival. The regime still commands the loyalty of powerful security apparatuses, like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, and its associated militias. These forces are well-armed, well-funded, and have shown a ruthless willingness to crush dissent in the past. The critical question is whether cracks will begin to appear within these security forces. Will rank-and-file soldiers who also suffer from the economic crisis refuse to fire on their own people? So far, the senior command has remained loyal, but defections at lower levels could be a game-changer. The international community is watching closely, but its options are limited. More sanctions could further cripple the economy and harm the very people they aim to help, while military intervention is off the table for all major powers. The most likely scenario is a prolonged period of instability, a war of attrition between a resilient population and a defiant regime. The outcome is far from certain, but one thing is clear: the Iran of 2026 is not the same as the Iran of the past. The spirit of protest has been ignited, and the demand for change is now an unstoppable fire. The people have shown they are willing to pay the ultimate price for their freedom, and that courage has already begun to reshape their nation's future, whatever that may be. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the momentous events unfolding in Iran. The story is far from over, and the courage of the Iranian people continues to inspire the world. What are your thoughts on the situation? Do you think this movement can succeed without a centralized leader? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this analysis valuable, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth reports on global events. Your support helps us continue to bring these important stories to light. Stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.